Happening right now on WUSA-9 News at 5, Maryland Governor Wes Moore unveils his plan to balance the state's budget. Who will foot the bill to fill a $3 billion budget shortfall?
We'll talk about just how cold it's going to be at the bus stop tomorrow morning, who could see flakes on Thursday, and who's going to see accumulating snow on Sunday.
Plus, crews are working to repair more than 50 water main breaks across Montgomery and Prince George's counties. What WSSC Water is doing to keep water flowing to homes.
And the Commanders are getting ready for Saturday's divisional matchup in Detroit. How the team hopes to drown out the noise as they venture into the Lions' den.
But we begin with news at 5 of this big breaking news we've been following from the Middle East. Israel and Hamas have agreed to a ceasefire deal that would pause 15 months of fighting and lead to the release of some hostages being held in Gaza. Thank you for joining us on WUSA-9 and streaming on WUSA-9 Plus. I'm Leslie Foster.
And I'm Lorenzo Hall. So the deal comes after weeks of painstaking negotiations between the two sides. So here are 3 things to note right now at 5 o'clock. The first phase of the ceasefire, it goes into effect on Sunday and will last 42 days. Hamas will release 33 hostages, including at least 2 Americans. Israel will set free dozens of Palestinian prisoners for each hostage.
During phase 1, Israel would pull back troops and humanitarian aid would once again flow into Gaza. President Biden spoke about the deal at the White House just a few hours ago.
I'd also note this deal was developed and negotiated under my administration, but its terms will be implemented for the most part by the next administration. In these past few days, we've been speaking as one team. This has been time of real turmoil in the Middle East. But as I prepare to leave office, our friends are strong, our enemies are weak, and there's a genuine opportunities for a new future.
The agreement still needs to be approved by Israel's parliament. The CBS Evening News will have much more on the ceasefire and hostage deal coming up at 6:30. Now at 5, Maryland Governor Wes Moore is releasing his proposal to deal with the state's budget crisis. Now, we've told you there is a $3 billion budget hole.
Yeah, we know the governor plans to fix it through a combination of cuts and tax increases that he says will move the state forward. Our Matt Gregory is live at the State House in Annapolis tonight. And Matt, we know most people at this point are asking, what is this going to cost them?
Yeah, and we're trying to get that answer too. We're going through the budget documents here, thousands of pages, 4 different books looking over how they're going to fill that $3 billion deficit. Now, 2/3 of that, Governor Moore said, is going to come from cuts, and we kind of looked into that, and the rest is going to come from new taxes, but not for most Marylanders, just for the wealthy.
I will give an overview.
After weeks of speculation, today Governor Moore released his budget.
We face the worst fiscal crisis in at least 20 years.
Before he broke down the numbers, Moore explained he wants Maryland's economy and business to boom.
This budget says we are going to make strategic investments in things that we have a unique opportunity to win in.
But back to that $3 billion hole in Maryland's 2026 budget.
The first thing that we went after is we said, how can we focus on efficiencies?
In this budget, Governor Moore cut $2 billion, some from inefficiencies, the rest from lowering some of the funding goals for education and healthcare programs.
For the things that were both effective and sustainable, we will invest in it. And for things that were not effective and sustainable, we will stop investing in it.
But that last billion in the hole forced the governor's hand. He announced tax changes.
82% of Marylanders are either going to receive a tax cut or no change at all.
But for the wealthiest 18%, people making $500,000 or more a year, they can expect new taxes.
Our lives have benefited because of we are here in the state of Maryland.
You can't grow people by taking more of their money away from them.
On the other side, Republican House Minority Leader Allegheny County's Jason Buckle disagreed with the governor.
I am encouraged that at least he has taken seriously the ability to make cuts, but we can't balance Maryland's budget just by simply raising more taxes and driving business and job creators out of the state.
Yeah, but there's still more for us to go through here. You can see this is thousands of pages, and this was just a cursory glance that we were able to get this afternoon to give you an idea of what's in here so far. We did see some other things just before we came on the air. Number one, there's going to be an increase in taxes on cannabis as well as gaming and sports betting, and there's also an emissions fee that's going to go up a little bit as well. But those are some of the things we're going to be working through the rest of the month here as they negotiate this budget here at the State House. But for now in Annapolis, I'm Matt Gregory. Back to you.
I mean, you haven't read all 1,000 pages yet,
Matt? You've had plenty of time, Matt. He's like, this is not a laughing
Stone
matter.
faces.
Yeah, but the worst fiscal crisis in 20 years?
Yeah.
A lot of folks also asking how the state got in this position, how it got to this point.
Absolutely, but 82% of Marylanders won't face taxes. And if you're in that group, I'm sure you are at least happy to hear that. All right, thank you. All right, now to Virginia, and one of the most contentious issues in Fairfax County. Should a casino come to Tyson's Corner? This debate is back in the hands of the Virginia General Assembly. Proponents argue it could boost the county's tax revenue. Opponents worry about its impact on the community. As our Matthew Torres reports, some Fairfax County residents are lobbying against the proposal.
An early morning bus ride brought these Fairfax County residents together in Richmond to deliver one clear message.
We are not supporting this special purpose bill that is going to damage neighborhoods only to enrich wealthy developers.
Walking down the hallways of the Virginia Capitol, they're lobbying to stop a plan to build a casino in Tyson's Corner, potentially on this vacant property next to the Spring Hill Metro stop.
The community members that have spoken to me, by and large, I would say 2 to 1, are telling me that this is not something that they want.
Senate Majority Leader Scott Servell revived legislation that would allow Fairfax County to hold a referendum. He says it's not just a casino, but an entertainment district with a conference center. Servell argues too many Virginians are going to MGM in Prince George's County, benefiting Marylanders more.
And now Fairfax County has the highest tax rate, real estate tax rate of any jurisdiction in the state except Falls Church, which is only like 8,000 people. This would allow the county to diversify its revenue sources and relieve some of that pressure.
Labor unions are also backing this up.
So having more than 5,000 potential union jobs in this project would be transformational.
But opponents argue this project would wreak havoc on traffic, increase crime, and stain the community with the image of gambling. A couple of Fairfax County supervisors in Richmond today say they question who will truly benefit, saying the county never asked for this.
Now, I know they're promising the moon. I got it. It's Oz, folks. And you got to ask yourself, who's the wizard?
But most importantly is that we allow due process to happen, which means to me notice and opportunity to respond, and that's not happening. A referendum will not amount to community input. That's a marketing campaign.
Lawmakers have yet to discuss this bill in committee. Even if it's passed, Fairfax County would still have to approve the project being on the ballot. But before all of that, Governor Glenn Youngkin still has to sign off. And already we know he wants a gaming commission in Virginia. Guys?
WUSA-9 Weather Impact is sponsored by Morgan & Morgan.
All right, we're taking a look right now. Beautiful day. Cold day, and if you've been out there, you know just how windy and cold it is, and this bitter cold is going to stick around at least another day.
At least another day. The Chief Top Bashut is here now with your weather impact forecast. And Top, we know it's cold out, but we could also see some flurries tomorrow too, right?
We sure could, especially if you're north and west of Frederick and maybe Leesburg, maybe Hagerstown. And, you know, today looked great from the inside looking out. But once you got outside, yeah, it was very, very cold. So let's talk about it. If you're going out in the next few hours, temperatures are going to be in the 20s, wind chills very quickly in the teens. Pretty much across the board from, 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock on. So dress for the teens if you are going out. And tomorrow, a little better. Teens to start. Wind chills will sort of approach the actual temperature, which will be like, 33 by the time we get into, say, 6 o'clock tomorrow night, and the wind chill will only be 30. So not bad. So some improvement tomorrow, but a very, very cold start. Now, let's talk about tomorrow in terms of the system to the west. Most of it is going to be raked out by the mountains, and there are some winter storm warnings west of the divide. Caitlin mentioned that. Garrett County, Canaan Valley, that area. So this is in the morning, and we'll put this into motion. So again, you see some snow showers up toward Hagerstown, and maybe they get as close as Frederick, very close to Leesburg and over toward Berkeley Springs. Probably stay north of D.C., and then they just kind of move on out and disappear, and we wait for a nice day on Friday, and we'll come back. We'll talk about seeing a lot over the weekend. We could see rain, showers, and snow.
Okay, at least we have Friday to look forward to.
Yeah, sure do.
Thank you, Top. And in the meantime, this bitter cold is not doing WSSC water crews any favors. The agency says it's working to fix more than 50 water main breaks across Montgomery and Prince George's counties.
Yeah, it feels like they've been working nonstop, and there have been more than 200 breaks and leaks reported in just the past week. Our Lionel Donovan has more on the repair efforts.
I'm in Hyattsville right now, but I want to give you an idea of what's been happening at hundreds of locations across Prince George's and Montgomery counties since the year began. Take a look down here. we have a steady flow of water coming up out of the ground, and this has been happening for hours at this point. It's a sure sign of a water main leak. Now, WSSC Water says it's been dealing with dozens of leaks just like this all day today, and the utility company says it's expecting a lot more in the future. Repairs continue across southern Maryland as WSSC Water tries to get ahead of the ongoing water main breaks across its system.
We're at about 60 water main breaks today, reported water main breaks and leaks. But just in the past month, we've had close to 270 water main breaks reported. But even more, just in the last week, it's about 230 water main breaks that have been reported that we have on our list to repair.
The utility company says this is usually the time of year when it sees the majority of these breaks. And as long as temperatures stay low, these breaks will continue.
We really look at the Potomac River temperature. When the temperature drops to a new season low, we know we're going to see water main breaks the next couple of days.
Here at Beacon Heights in Riverdale, workers say about 40 homes had their water shut off so workers could repair this main break. But WSSC Water says at this point, it's hard to know how many of its customers have been impacted. The company oversees more than 5,500 miles of pipes across Prince George's and Montgomery counties, and about 40% of those pipes are at least 50 years old. The utility company says it's working to replace the aging pipes, but that will take time. Until then, water main breaks will remain part of the winter season.
We're really dealing with aging infrastructure, and it's kind of what we're seeing when we see a water main break. More than likely, it's one of the older pipes that's breaking.
Lionel Donovan, WUSA 9.
All right, right now, D.C. police need your help to find a stolen dog. So this is Cody, and police say someone took Cody from the 800 block of 26th Street in Northeast sometime around 2-ish on Sunday. This was just outside of the Spingarn football field when this happened. So little Cody is missing part of his left paw, and he's got a split left ear. He was last seen wearing a gray reflector vest and a Christmas bow tie. So if you know anything about where Cody might be, D.C. police want to hear from you.
All right, new at 5 tonight, the Transportation Security Administration says its agents stopped a record-breaking 117 guns at D.C. area airports in 2024. That's a significant jump over the 105 firearms intercepted in 2023. All of the weapons were discovered during routine screenings at airport security checkpoints. So 47 guns were stopped at BWI, 41 at Reagan, and 29 at Dulles. Each airport set a record for most firearms detected in a single year. Now, passengers caught with guns at the checkpoint can face criminal charges and fines.
D.C. is getting ready to celebrate a big milestone, marking the 250th anniversary of the founding of America. The district is preparing for the quarter millennial and actively planning how residents and visitors can get involved. Today, Mayor Muriel Bowser teamed up with the America 250 initiative and hosted a press conference to talk about their plans for the upcoming milestone year, all while visiting Powell Bilingual Elementary School.
So you also may imagine that throwing a big party for thousands of people is a big task. But in Washington, D.C., we welcome visitors for big events all the time. And we have a great group of people that aren't only going to make this a party, they're going to make it an educational experience.
The mayor also helped the kids pronounce the official name of the 250th anniversary celebration.
Okay, that'll be a good time.
Let me hear you say it.
What is it? We're right there. We got
Semi-quincentennial.
Yeah, semi-quincentennial. You remember that, Top, okay?
There will be a test for you.
But first, the Commanders are just 3 days away from playing for a spot in the NFC Championship game. Up next, the guys explain why they're not fazed by any of these big moments. All right, Top, it's your time.
Okay, I can pronounce this. A wind chill, 7 above in Gaithersburg tomorrow morning, 7 in Frederick, 12 in Leesburg, 13 in D.C. They won't be quite as cold tomorrow as they were today. We'll come back, we'll talk about where the snow's going to fall tomorrow, where the snow could fall on Sunday.